Man, the hits just keep on coming for the Florida State fan base and really the program as a whole right now. Current QB1 for FSU Tate Rodemaker announced on Christmas Day that he intends to enter the transfer portal and will not participate in the Orange Bowl against Georgia this Saturday. And this just adds to the dramatic roster change that Florida State will see, not only in the bowl game this weekend, but also just how different the team will look going forward. I don't think the news in itself is incredibly shocking. Florida State has actively been pursuing a QB from the transfer portal pretty much since it opened. And this points to the fact that they probably don't have the most confidence in Tate as a starter in 2024 for a team that still hopes to make the new 12-team playoff. Now, Tate has done a lot of good for you in his time at Florida State. He stepped in when Jordan got hurt on the road against Louisville last year to maintain what at the time was an undefeated record. He came in and got you back on track against North Alabama when Jordan suffered a devastating leg injury. He took you on the road and put you in a position to ultimately beat Florida and finish off an undefeated season. But he's going into his 5th year in the system, and the staff is still looking at other options. Despite his experience, Tate has really never been able to cement himself as a true starting quarterback for a program like FSU. So I think you know what you have with him at this point, and I think we can all agree that if nothing else, adding competitive depth there would be a net positive for the quarterback room. I think what's more shocking is the timing of it. The portal opened at the beginning of December, and Florida State has openly been recruiting a transfer QB since day one. So I feel like this decision could have come at any point in these last few weeks, and I don't love it not only coming on Christmas Day, but right as the team is loading up to head down to Miami and starting bowl practice. Now, with the holidays, he could have just spent a little more time with his family and thought about it all a little bit more and then just decided it was what was best for him. And again, I don't blame him for that decision because he's probably right. But taking practice reps away from Brock Glenn and then dropping this news at the last minute, I don't love that decision. Now, obviously, I don't know what the conversations were like behind closed doors between Tate and the staff, but I assume this news comes as a bit of a shock to them as well, judging by the tweet that Mike Norvell put out within an hour or so of this news. Keep in mind, this is on Christmas Day, right before the team is getting on the bus from Miami, so it's unlikely that this tweet was already queued up. But it says, "The world will let fear affect it. Life can be full of disappointing moments and will always have competition. Be true and honest in the moment, and then you can live with all the results. Excited and grateful for each opportunity. Hashtag all we got, all we need." Then he added the gif of Nick Cage from Gone in 60 Seconds, which is a fantastic movie, by the way, but saying, "Let's ride." Now, I think there's a little more to unpack here than just what's on the surface. For one, I think this tweet was definitely charged at Tate and was in direct response to this news, calling him out a little bit here. But he also talks about competition, and I think for one, it's referring to the fact that Florida State is, of course, looking for a portal quarterback, not only for depth, but to also elevate the room and provide a true QB competition. Now, to speak to that a little more, I think that was a big part of Jordan Travis's development was when Mackenzie Milton was brought in. So, and the same could be said for Tate here, in my opinion. Just because they're bringing in somebody else doesn't mean you can't elevate your game and just win the job outright. No one's stopping you from doing that. But also with the timing of Tate's announcement, I wonder if Florida State received good news regarding one of the two quarterbacks that they're after right now. And maybe that's what set this all in motion. That would definitely help explain why this decision came now rather than weeks ago when the portal opened if Florida State first started looking into a quarterback. Or it could have happened 2 weeks ago when both Cam Ward and DJU were on campus for official visits. And that leads me to the next part of Mike's tweet where he talks about being honest and living with all the results. Of course, reading between the lines a little bit here, but this makes me wonder if Tate originally said that he was fine with them pursuing another quarterback, thus practicing all this time and carrying on like normal until now, leaving them down to just Brock Glenn, who, had this news come earlier, probably could have gotten a few more reps these last couple of weeks. I definitely think something happened to where the staff was frustrated with how it all went down, especially judging after this tweet from Mike. That's not like him at all. Usually he tweets out wishing the kids well and talks about how some other school is going to get a great player, and that's just not what he said here. Which is telling when talking about a kid who has been coached under Norvell for 4 years now and was fixing to start in a New Year's Six Bowl. So I definitely think something was a little off in the situation and frustrated Mike, who is already super frustrated about a lot of other things right now. He has said that this has been the hardest month or so of his coaching career, and it's easy to see why. Your star quarterback goes down to a gruesome leg injury at the end of the season. Some of the transfer portal stuff, we got certain guys leaving and making a big scene about things on social media. Signing day for recruiting was a little disappointing. You get a tough draw in your bowl game, and now you have your current QB1 transferring out less than a week before the game. So it's easy to see how all that's really tough on a coach. Now, I see some mixed opinions on Mike's response here. But personally, I love it, especially if Tate did lead the staff on for a little bit as far as him staying in Tallahassee. But either way, I think if nothing else, it sends a good message to the fan base as well by saying that he's going to do whatever it takes to stay as competitive as possible. And if that means hurting some feelings along the way, then so be it. And I think that's the uncomfortable but required mindset for a head coach, and especially when dealing with a blue blood program like Florida State. I know it's been a rough last month or so for Florida State fans, and it seems like the hits just keep coming, and we're all wondering when we're finally going to get some good news. Now, I don't know for sure, but I look for some news to come out this week now that Christmas and signing day and all that is over. Hopefully we hear something about a quarterback transferring into FSU, but also keep an eye out for some other visit news. There's still quite a few big names out there in the portal that Florida State is pursuing. I'll have some more videos coming out about bowl game stuff, probably some more recruiting and transfer portal stuff this week. So definitely want to make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can keep up with all the big news. And I also want to ask you guys, how do you feel about Mike's tweet/response to the Tate news? Do you think it was appropriate or do you think it was a little too far? Let me know down in the comments and let's talk Noles.